Joker, it looks like I kind of knew what I was talking about. It looks like we're going to be seeing Zugs.
We're seeing a
And
PvP, man. Zugs is
and you
coming
know
out.
and you know what? I actually really do like this decision by Team Rip Zeez. We saw in the last series that they might have a little trouble with Protoss players, and Starnan is probably one of the toughest Protoss players you're going to be seeing in the ISTL. So you may as well throw out one of your best weapons to take him down. And even if you manage to take down Starnan, well, then you have Zugs out on the field, and he could possibly take another win out for you because he is the ace player for Ripsies. So I like this decision. And this is probably going to be a much closer. Although with PvP, it's really hard to call close or not close, but this is going to be on WCS Ohana, and really looking forward to this. These two guys are definitely very high caliber players.
Yeah, this is going to be pretty awesome, man. Another PvP coming right at us. Hopefully we get a little bit past the, well, what were we at last time? 6 minute mark? Six.
It's like 720 or something like
Yeah,
that.
something
Yeah.
like that. Hopefully get a little bit past it, guys. I want to cast some games today, so let's get it going. Let's get some 14-minute game, maybe. That'd be all right. Yeah, I'd be okay with that.
14-minute PvP, Joker. That's a long PvP. What are you talking about? We
Yeah,
never
I
see
know.
PvPs that go to 14 minutes.
I hear you, man. I hear you.
Dude, Joker. So,
What's up?
I think I told you, but I'm gonna brag about it on the air anyway. I managed to finally get back into Diamond Random after 2 seasons of being stuck in the hell that is Plat League.
Oh, you did.
I was finally able to play enough last season so that my MMR was high enough for a single win in my placement match to get me back into Diamond League. So I'm really happy
Perfect.
about that.
Perfect.
Here's why, guys. Plat League is one of those leagues where you've got maybe half of the players want to play real games, and the other half they're just like, I'm gonna throw something gimmicky at you, something really, really weird, like one base immortal play against Terran. Who does that stuff? Like I saw so
Badass.
much of that in Plat League, so I'm finally like back in Diamond, where more players are interested in playing real games with me. Maybe it's because I'm a random player, though, Joker. A
Dude,
lot
it
of players don't seem
is.
to like random players.
It is, dude. Whenever I see a random player, I'm like, dude, I'm gonna cheese this dude. I'm gonna do something stupid because I hate random players. It just messes up my scouting. It messes up everything. Oh man, random players, god damn it. All right, man. So we're gonna get started off, and this game has loaded up on Ohana at the top left, spawning as the red Protoss. We're gonna have Zugs from Team Rip Zeez.
And spawning down here in the bottom right position, we have our blue Protoss player from Team Western Wolves taking out his first opponent. Can he put his team up 2-0 over the ace player from Team Ripsies? We have Western Wolves Starnan.
All right, man. So we're gonna have just a little bit of downtime here now, Vindy. Are you still? This is the question I've been wanting to ask you here. Are you still going to be playing random in Heart of the Swarm?
You know, Joker, I really don't know. The thing is, there is an addition for each race that makes me really excited about each race. For Zerg, you've got the Swarm House. The Swarm House looks like a lot of fun. So far in Wings of Liberty, Zerg doesn't have a positional unit like that, and I love positional play. It's one of the reasons why I love siege tanks so much. Zerg doesn't have that positional unit, and in Heart of the Swarm now all of a sudden they do.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm really wondering what the Swarm Host will do to change up the way that Zerg is played. And then for Protoss, you've got the Mothership Core and all of the ridiculous things you can do with Mothership Cores. And then with Terran, you get more mech play because they're making mech better, and I love mech play as Terran. So it's really hard for me to settle on one race, really. But at the same time, like, I don't want to get stuck trying to learn all three races at the same time and fall behind in the metagame. So
Right.
it's a tough decision. I just haven't made it yet, but I really want to play all three races if I can.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. It'll be cool. It'll be cool. And I really like the Viper, man. The Viper is my deal. I just want to snag some units. I just want to get out there and just snag some tanks. I've always wanted to do that. People sieging up, turtling up with their tanks on the high ground, and I can't get in. I just want to snag those tanks.
All right,
Bring them into the swarm.
here's the beautiful thing about the Viper. All right, so when people saw the Viper at BlizzCon, there was all these oohs and ahs of like, oh, that's so OP because you can pull a Colossus. Let me tell you something, guys. Blizzard knows what they're doing. Really, they do. Here's the thing about the Viper. The range on that abduct ability is not that far, and more importantly, the Viper has like no hit points. Like you can breathe on it funny and it will fall out of the sky. The thing is so vulnerable. So the thing is, it's a beautiful unit because like you really have to be crisp with the execution, because if you aren't, you're gonna lose it. It is way worse than Ravens are in that regard for Terran players already. So I mean, I'm really looking forward to seeing like what the pros are going to be able to do with Vipers, and then I'm also looking forward to things like, you know, Ghost versus Vipers, High Templar versus Vipers. There's so many different things that are going to come out of the metagame with that unit that is going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty awesome here. So we do actually. Oh, we do. We have a Robo here from Starnan. So Starnan going to throw down the 1-gate Robo here. Whereas Zugs went for 2 gates, going to be chronoing out units for a little bit here. And we'll see what he decides to do here pretty soon.
At this point, Joker, both players have taken both gases at around the same time, really. The divergence for Starnan and going into this 1-gate Robo build is going to allow him to get up an earlier immortal count, which is going to be really, really nice in the mid game. But it obviously has the disadvantage of if Zubs was going for something really super aggressive, he doesn't have the gateway production to really match that of his opponent. But we do see Zugz now throwing down in a robotic facility a little bit later. So this decision by Starnan to gamble and go for this faster robotics facility is going to pay off for him a little bit, because I don't think Zugz is going to be in the position to punish it properly.
Yeah, I think Zugz right now is going to be setting up for a little bit of 2-gate pressure out of both these gates. Once this warp tech finishes here, he does drop that forward pylon, also dropping a Nexus back in his base. So we'll see what he decides to do with this, if he decides to pressure Starnan at the front. He did poke up. He sees the 2 sentries and the 1 zealot. I don't think he saw anything else in the base. No, he did not see anything else in the base of Starnan. So we'll see what he does with these few first couple warp ins, if he keeps him at home or if he tries to hit that forward pylon and apply a little pressure.
Joker, look at these two guys. Starnan kind of countered what Zugz was doing blindly with that 1-gate Robo build, and now Zugz is countering what Starnan is doing blindly by throwing down this Nexus. That 1-gate Robo build is not an offensive build. It's very defensive. It allows you to get your tech up a little bit faster. It allows you to defend your base because you have those Immortals and you have those Sentries. But now look, he can't really go on offense. All he has are 3 Sentries and an Immortal, and Zugz has a faster Nexus. So... Yep. These two players are blindly countering each other. It really kind of shows like watching the stream or something, or they just are that
in base. He actually got a full scout on everything in Starnan's base. Even saw the Twilight Council there. In Zugz' base, Starnan got the full scout. And now Zugz is also going in for the scout, checking out everything. So both these players actually know everything that their opponent is doing at the moment right now. They know their army count. They know everything like that. And it looks like Starnan is pushing out with 2 Immortals, 3 Sentries, a Stalker, and a Zealot. Going to meet Zugz' Stalker here in the middle of the map. Actually going to be able to kill it, I think. So Zugz losing the Stalker for nothing here in the middle of the map. That's quite a big deal with this already this increasing immortal count. No immortals actually out for Zugz yet. This could actually be a little bit of a problem here coming if he starts pushing up this ramp.
Yeah, I thought I saw an immortal in production for Zugz, but I might just be imagining things. And because he has no immortals out in the field, this actually could be a very big deal. Blink is not done yet. All he has are these unupgraded gateway units at the top of his range. He does have some sentries, so he is going to be able to force Starnan down just a little bit here. But look at how much damage those immortals are able to do. Those immortals do such a ridiculous amount of damage to stalkers. So I don't think Zugz is going to die from this. But no. At this point, he's not going to be able to go on offense either. And behind this, Starnan is throwing down a robotics support bay. So he will be able to get the earlier Colossus count out. So right now, I think Starnan is in a little bit of a better position. But you can't count out a player that has Blink Stalkers on the field. They are so mobile and they are so, they have the ability to be microed so well.
Absolutely. Blink is now done. So Starnan... it's just sitting right at the bottom here of Zugz' base. Does have that observer there. He has to know that Zugz does have Blink done because he did check that Twilight and everything like that. We do have also another Robo coming out from Zugz. So Zugz, knowing that Starnan is going... Oh, we actually have an Immortal caught here. And Zugz might get a free kill off this Immortal here.
That was such a clutch force field, Joker. He
That
almost
was
lost
a
his sentry
really
to get
good
it off.
force field.
He almost
Wow.
lost his sentry to get it off, but he was able to plant that force field just perfectly to capture that one immortal, stuck him in the corner, and was able to snipe it down. So eventually, so what it turned out is that Zugz traded a stalker and a sentry for a single immortal. But I think just because of the position these players are in, and the fact that Zugz is now going for this double Colossus production, that was a better move for Zugz than it was for Starnan. Starnan is now being forced to retreat back to his base. And here's the story of the game now, folks. Colossus are the unit in Protoss versus Protoss, and Zugz is making more of them right now. Starnan does have a lead in his thermal lance production, but he's only got one robotics facility down. So if this game goes any longer than this, Zugz is going to have the advantage as soon as he's able to get out more than two Colossus.
You're absolutely right, Vinny. I think he knows that too. It looks like Starn's going to be pushing out on the map with two Immortals, one Colossus and the other one rallied closely behind. He really wants to get out there while the Colossi count is even, and he has that Immortal advantage, so he needs to hit right now. He looks like he's going to be warping in up here pretty soon, but if he doesn't hit right now, he's going to be in a lot of trouble because two more Colossi are on the way, just about halfway done here. This is going to be quite a crucial battle here, Vindicator.
Dude, Joker, this timing for Starnan is so critical. The fact that he has Immortals in that army and Zugz does not will allow him to do a ton of damage to the Immortals, or to the Colossus of Zugz. But if he waits and he with four Colossus instead of Splash, their damage multiplies so quickly as their number get higher. The positioning right now is going to favor Zugz just a little bit, but Starnan realizes that and does back up just slightly. This timing is so close, and now we have four Colossus out on the field for Zugz, but that you can't count out Starnan just yet. Those Immortals, like I said, they just do so much damage to Colossus that if he's able to get off a few shots, he can even up this count, especially with the third Colossus now in the field.
Yeah, and Thermal Lance, he was trying to get in there a little bit before Thermal Lance was completed. He did get a few shots off, but Thermal Lance is just now completing. +1 is also completing for Zugz, and it looks like Zugz is going to try to move out, break this contain. Moving out with four Colossi, forcing Starnan to go back to his base. Starnan taking a third, which is a really good move. That's going to be one of his only ways to try to squeak back into this Colossi lead here. He does now also have dual robotics facilities making Colossi, so definitely it's going to be close, man. Really just impeccable timing by Zugz, getting this good decision by getting dual robotics facilities early to be able to hold off that pressure, and now he's got a lot of colos on the field, Indy.
These two guys just keep gambling with each other, Joker. They cut a little bit of corners. They force their opponent to hit that perfect timing, and so far neither Protoss player has been able to hit that perfect timing to take advantage of the gamble that the other one is making. But now we have another one of those timings. Starnan is going for that third Nexus. This is going to hurt him a little bit in what he's able to produce from those gateways, and his opponent does have +1 attack and is researching +2 attack. So
it looks like we might have an engagement here.
Yeah, if Zugz does have an advantage in this engagement because of that actually force his opponent to cancel that Nexus. He will be slightly ahead, but again, these guys are they're not going to commit. They're not going to commit to an attack. Neither one of them wants to flip that coin and risk everything on one single engagement. So now we have Zugz going back to his base and throwing down a third Nexus.
Holy cow, man. Hey, we hit past the 14-minute mark, man, so I'm okay with that. And we're going to have a lot of colos on the battlefield. Currently, Zugz does have a little bit of a... actually, it's really close on food right now. 151 to 146. These guys are macroing so well. This is going to be such a tight game, man. It's going to be so close. Couple pylon out here from Zugz. Starnan's about to snipe him off right now, and the Observer still coming in from Zugz. Going to be able to spot out this army before it comes. Now, one thing, Zugz does have a very, very heavy Zealot army, whereas Starnan has a lot more Stalkers, a few Sentries, and even an Immortal in the mix. So, with that many Colossi on the battlefield, those Zealots are going to melt so quickly with proper micro, and whereas these Stalkers can blink around and possibly snipe some more colos in the battle.
Does Starnan have Blink, Joker? I don't think he does.
Well, does he not? Oh, no, he doesn't. You're right. He is getting charged now. So okay.
I mean, it's kind of an interesting situation here because Zugz does have the higher Zealot count, but Starnan's going to have charge for those zealots. Now, the other big thing is that Zugz is going for a gravitic drive on the warp prism, so he will be able to utilize warp prism drops. But without charge, those zealots are not nearly as effective as taking the damage of those colossus as his opponent. But then again, Starnan doesn't really have any zealots to speak of. But look at the position. This position is not
Oh
good
my
for
god,
Zugz.
very
So
good
many
force
zealots for
field.
nothing. And the force fields are just going to allow him to cut up that zealot army. It looked like Zugz just lost half of his zealots in that one engagement. So nice little mini victory for Starnan.
Yeah, and during that battle, also, Starnan did warp in a few zealots into the high ground of Zugz' base. Try to get a few probes. I don't know. Let's check the units lost tab here. I think he did kill. Yeah, he killed a few workers there. Not a whole lot. Zugz did end up getting it, but we also have a warp prism coming in with 2 mortals. The mortals are already weak from killing off those zealots already, but it's going to be moving in towards the south side of the map. Starnan's third here. Looks like he's going to do a little bit of mortal drop and start picking off some probes.
Yeah, I love watching these mortal drops in Protoss versus Protoss. Unfortunately for Zugz, Starnan was able to see it and now has kind of trapped that warp prism down at the southwest position of the map. It can't really move because he's kind of stuck between like an army of stalkers and colossus up to the north and a couple of stalkers and a photon cannon to the east. But that warp prism is still there for a rainy day. So if Starnan decides to leave his base, he will have to contend with the fact his opponent does have those immortals available. And immortal drops are really good because of their ability to snipe pylons. If Zugz is able to get those immortals into a good spot, he can snipe and unpower all of those gateways, which will be a really important thing to consider when this crucial engagement does eventually happen.
Now, Zugz did go for a little bit of a tech switch earlier. He went for those Archons a little bit earlier in the game, whereas Starnan was still building up Colossi. So we have 13 Colossi for Starnan, whereas Zugz only has 9. Also, Starnan did drop down that DPT shrine, so he's going to be adding some Archons in his mix as well. But these armies are still dancing around in the middle of the map. But that's so many Golos, man. A lot of it's going to come down to positioning. A lot of Zealots, but those will melt very quickly. And here comes Zugz, going to be moving into the 3rd position. Starnan trying to posture up his army right here. Oh man,
How many Colossus is right, the Joker. Look at the number of Colossus in that army. That is ridiculous. Now, Zugz does have an advantage in upgrades right now. It is +3 to +2. So if he wants to actually make this engagement happen, he should do it now as opposed to later. And here comes the Colossus firing from 2 different angles on the army of Starnan, but the superior Colossus count of Starnan is going to allow him to push back the army of Zugz just a little bit. The supply is still evening out at 188 to 199, but does Zugz have an observer with this army because the first DTs are now on the field?
Yeah, the DTs are going to be running into the 3rd of Zugz, but they are going to be killed. Zugz does have 2 cannons there with a handful of zealots, going to be able to fend those off, but Starnan has a 4th up, man. Starnan has a 4th up. Zugz does not. Zugz still has a pylon with some zealots up there where his 4th would be. So Starnan is in really good position right now. We do have a warp prism came into the main, but Starnan did fend that off. But warp prisms are around the map, a few of them just sitting around waiting to do some damage here. But the longer this game goes, Starnan's going to start getting a bigger and bigger lead, man.
I mean, the one advantage that Zugz really does have right now is the presence of those Archons. Those Archons are a second form of splash damage. They're beefy units. They're not killed very quickly by Colossus. In a head-on engagement, and now the Colossus count is a little bit more even. Yeah, it's 11 Colossus, and it's 11 Colossus versus 13. But the presence of those 5 Archons does give Zugz' army a little bit more firepower, which could play a huge role in this next engagement. But it's mostly going to come down to positioning. We have to be honest here. The army composition for these players is so similar that really position is going to trump everything else.
Absolutely right now, and it looks like Zugz is trying to pressure this 4th base of Starnan. That's going to be a really tough spot to battle. Oh, 2 immortals did just drop for free in that warp prism. Starnan got away with one right there. And yeah, now Starnan's just posturing up, defending his fourth here, and Zugz really can't fight into that right now. He's gonna have to find another avenue or take a fourth himself.
Starnan is handling this late game a little bit better than Zugz is, I feel. He's Dark Templar. We have two idle observers down here at the bottom left part of the map that aren't even really being used. He was able to snipe down that warp and he does have a fourth base right now. And this proxy pilot over here at the fourth base of Zugz is still not been taken out, so that is going to continue to allow Starnan to just continue to warp in units and harass his opponent. And the longer he does this, the more that slight tech advantage I was talking about earlier for Zugz is going to slip away a little bit. And now look at Starnan. He's up 10 supply on his opponent, and I think his Colossus count is still higher.
Yep. And like you said, Starnan did get those DTs into the main of Zugz, shut down a couple buildings, a couple pylons there. So yeah, he's being really active with his units, making sure that Zug's not taking a fourth, making sure Zug stays back in his base while he gets his upgrades, establishes his fourth. He's going to be securing his win here really shortly. So now, Starnan is starting to add in. He's starting to throw away supply and add in Archons into his composition. It's going to be really nice in these next upcoming battles here.
But here is the absolute critical moment, Joker. We have the first mothership in production. When this mothership hits the field, Zugz doesn't even have a Stargate yet.
Zugz is moving right up to the fourth position right now, and he's going to take a lot of shots from his Colossi, and he's going to back out really slowly. He might have been trying to catch that army off guard, but Starnan is too good for that. And now he's dancing around, but yes, mothership is coming.
Zugz can't assault that fourth position. It's too easy to defend with the army that Starnan currently has available. But again, this is Ohana. Where can you assault where your opponent won't be able to just move into you from the high ground and hit you with a superior army or hit you with a superior position? I mean, Zugz is trying to move around again to the fourth base, but again, I think he's going to get caught on that ramp, and if that happens, the concave for Starnan is going to be too good. So where does Zugz attack from here? It does look like he is going to try and force this engagement anyway. I don't know if this is going to work, but here comes the army. Colossus are firing from all different positions, but there are a few Colossus for Starnan that are not actually firing, but none of the Colossus for Zugz are actually able to connect on the Colossus of Starnan, but still the engagement is going to be really, really close anyway, but it does look like Starnan has a slight advantage. The reinforcements are coming in. Zealots are charging onto the Colossus of Zugz, and there is the engagement. Starnan still has 6 Colossus available. That mothership is finishing, and this is looking really bad for Zugz. He lost the one critical engagement that so many of these late game Protoss come down to. He's not out of this just yet, but he's definitely in a bad spot. There are DTs in his base ravaging his main. They're going to be killing that Colossus over Blackport Bay, and there is a GG.
Wow, man. That was an intense battle. I really like the position from Starnan. He actually postured his army right around that nexus. So, all the charged lots really had to go around that nexus to try to battle the army, just adding a little bit more surface area or taking away more surface area from the army. And that was a really close battle. I think actually Zugz would have won that battle if warp in those extra zealots there, because it was really close. But at the same time, Starnan also warped in DTs and the main of Zugz, just sealing the deal. Zugz had nothing back there to defend it with. So just great, impeccable play by Starnan. That was a really good PvP, man. That was so close. It came down just to a couple units, and that battle was really, really close.
I mean, I was telling at the beginning that they just kept blind countering each other. One of them would gamble, and the other one wouldn't call it on it yet. And what it eventually came down to was the gamble that Starnan eventually went for was he didn't have his Archons out at the same around the time that Zugz did. So Zugz had the Archon composition first, but Starnan went for the gamble on both the fourth Nexus and the mothership. And then he was just constantly pressuring on top of that. He was using DTs, He was using Zealots. He was constantly making Zugz feel like he couldn't attack. And so eventually it got to a point where Zugz actually couldn't attack because his opponent had such good defensive position, and he was also on the clock because that mothership was on the way. So in the end, it was the one moment where Zugz really had the advantage was when he had the Archons first. He didn't commit to the attack when he had that advantage. And after that, pretty much Starnan had the advantage the rest of the game.
Yeah,
But
and I mean that game was so back and forth the whole time.
yeah,
It
it
all started
was.
with the first immortal pushes, then this double colos right back at him, and it was really neck and neck. So great job by Zugs. But it looks like Starnan's going to take out another player here, so it's going to put Western Wolves up 2-0 to Rip Zeez. Are we going to have our first all kill in the ISTL, or is Rip Zeez going to be able to take down Starnan and still looking at a pretty heavy roster from Western Wolves to try to sneak a win away?
I'm not worried yet, Joker. I'm not worried yet for Rip Zeez. I'm going to tell you why. We've had 3 Game 7 series in this ISTL so far. 2 of those series that went to a Game 7 started with a player opening 2-0 for his team and looking dominant in the process.
That's
Two
true.
of those
That is very
two of
true.
those series two of those series did. And then as has been the trend in the ISTL so far, for season 3 at least, we have a teammate come out for the losing team that goes on a 2-kill streak of his own. That's what's been happening so far. We had it with Ender from Impulse, and we had it
Right.
from somebody else in a different series, and they're all starting to blend together a little bit with me. I just remember Ender's so much because I'm a little bit more familiar with him as a player. Uh, I'm being optimistic, but that's what I'm hoping is going to happen here from Rip Zeez. I really don't want. There's a part of me that really doesn't want to see Starnan kill this team off. Like, they are too good to get killed off by a single player, even though this single player is as good as Starnan is.
Right.